it's Bob Ross here, talking to you from beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. My move is somewhat completed. Still need to find a permanent place to live. Staying with a friend now, but making progress on that. So that should happen within the next few days, I hope. Anyway, enough of my boring personal life. Anyway, I saw that there's currently new missions going on for the Komet 163B. Is that what it's called? Yes. Wow, I already remember. And it is not Soviet, contrary to what I previously thought. It's German. So we only have 21 days to complete that, which is not a whole lot of time. That's the main difficulty, in my opinion, with this set of missions, is having only 21 days to finish them. But the last few years, Wargaming has gotten us used to these shorter mission times. So without further ado, this is not meant to evaluate the 163B itself, but the set of missions to get the plane. I don't have enough details on the plane really to say too much about it. Looks like it might be interesting, but yeah. Alright, so mission 1, win 1 battle. I don't think we need to say too much about this one. Just get in your best plane and win a match. Pretty easy. 60,000 personal points in any number of battles. Well, so there's probably some planes that you score a little bit more personal points in than others. Personally, for me, it's my like tier 10 bombers and GAs. But that might vary according to your particular skill set. Then we've got participate in capturing 20 sectors in any number of battles. Typically, capturing more sectors will happen in games that are closer. So mid-range, mid-tiers is usually the go-to for me. So I'll fly a heavy, especially in like tier 6 or tier 7. You usually find some pretty competent opposition there, and that leads to closer battles, longer battles, and you'll cap more sectors. Pretty easy. Destroy 3 enemy heavy fighters in a single battle. That 3 is very reasonable. So I like to get in a light fighter that has a decent altitude performance for those. Obviously, you'll find them at higher altitude more often than not. So keep that in mind. Then receive the Akamatsu medal. That's really up to you. What tier, what plane to get that to get that done. You might find it easy, especially if you're playing like off hours, middle of the night, or whatever. You might find it easier to go in high tiers like tier 9 or 10. There's very little competition. You often get bot games or 1v1s, and that's a little bit easier to stay alive. The main thing with the Akamatsu is, or as I call it, the Komets. It's the main thing is to stay alive, obviously, and make sure that your kills count for capture points, so inside sectors or ADAs. ADAs don't have to be inside sectors, so you can kill them anywhere. They'll still count for caps, but your enemy planes, so red team, need to be inside sector limits, and they do count for 60 points, so you can prioritize those if you're certain to get them inside sectors. Then we have 500 hit points of damage to ground targets, so the higher tier the better for that. So if you don't have tier 9, tier 10 bombers and GAs, just play your highest tier, and that will minimize the amount of matches you need to play to complete it. Then we've got capturing 25 sectors, so same advice applies as capturing 20 sectors. It's just 5 more if you can't do the math. Then destroy 5 enemy aircrafts while attacking sectors in a battle. So 5 isn't too bad, but this can be tricky because the enemy needs to kind of cooperate. So you want to get into something that's fast, so you can get from sector to sector and snatch the enemy aircraft kills inside those sectors before either the bots or teammates take them. So you don't want to be behind the 8 ball. So choose whatever has better than average speed for the tier you're lining up in. Then earn 5,000 capture points in any number of battles. Typically, the planes, for me anyway, that capture the most points are mid-tier heavies, something like the P-38L, ME-410. Can also be high-tier bombers and GAs. Receive the Efimov medal. Well, so my favorite one would be the 1102B, especially if I'm playing off hours. Again, tier 10 tends to be very quiet late at night. So if that's when you happen to play and then lining up your 1102B at that time, it's probably the easiest way to get that. But that one might need a few tries. Kind of need to get lucky to survive in a GA, because if someone decides to target you, there's not a whole lot you can do to defend yourself. You hope to get them down with the turret, but by the time you kill even a light fighter, a lot of the time they're taking more than half your health. So it's really important to keep an eye on the minimap and try to avoid the enemies as much as possible. Then you've got earn 50,000 personal points in any number of battles. So kind of very similar to 60,000 personal points in any number of battles. You just get in whatever plane you usually score the most personal points in. Destroy 175 sections of ground targets. Well, so that you can do in any tier, really. Just getting your favorite bomber or GA. You can even complete this in a good old heavy with an ordnance or multi-roll. Then 1,500,000 hit points of damage to ground targets. That's a little bit grindy. So we're starting to get into the missions that are going to take a little bit longer to complete. So assuming you score 100,000 hit points of damage to ground targets, which it's hard to average that, honestly, but try to do it in tier 9 or tier 10. That's where you're going to score the most hit points. And following that, we get 5 enemy aircraft while defending sectors in a single battle. Also, probably a mid to high tier light fighter, or even like tier 4. Some light fighters like the XF4F3 or P40 or 109B would be good candidates to achieve that. Especially given the lower tier, like low mid tiers, you tend to run into enemies that kind of slightly know less of what they're doing, so you can get into a position where it's safer to defend sectors without risking losing the match over it. Then you have the McGuire medal for mission 15, which 400 hit points of any kind, so it can be air targets or ground targets or a combination of both, in a heavy fighter without dying, so in a single sortie. Just getting your favorite heavy fighter, and you know, same advice applies as the Akamatsu. You just want to make sure that you get aerial targets inside sectors, aside from ADAs, which you can get anywhere, of course. But you know, if you're thinking of going after a bomber flight, well, just keep in mind the bomber flight will hit you with their turret and take hit points away, make you closer to being dead, and not provide any points towards the McGuire. So choose your targets wisely. Then destroy 100 sections of ground targets in any number of battles. Should be able to do that in one battle normally, if it's anywhere close to closely fought battle. Then you have 3,000 capture points in any number of battles. Well, lots of like repeat missions with slightly different number of points or sections or whatever needed. So same advice applies as the 5,000 capture points. Then destroy 25 enemy multi-role fighters in any number of battles. It seems like a lot, but since there's typically 4 multi-roles per team on your typical loadout, you can get easily like 5 and more of them per match without sacrificing playing for the win. So I don't necessarily suggest obsessing with the enemy multi-rolls for that mission. Just kind of get them when they're close and just play for the win. We'll finish it sooner rather than later. Now we get into a more difficult one for mission 19. Destroy 6 enemy attack aircraft in a single battle. So ideally, you try to find a tier where there's not a lot of human players and wait till you get a bot battle. Usually the attack aircraft go for the first sector first in, for the same sector first in. So if you can predict what sector that will be, so usually it's whatever more ground target prone sector is closer to the red spawn point. So if they have like a mine or a missile base next to the spawn point and head there, it will obviously help to be in a multi-role to do that. Not a multi-role, a heavy fighter to do that. Some multi-roles too. I mean, the Java is kind of the Java series are low flyers with a lot of firepower, so they can certainly be used to that effect. So you kill the both of them as fast as you can and then hurry over to their spawn point, and then you just spawn camp them. The bots don't have any feelings, so don't worry about it. Don't do that to humans, please. Then in mission 20, I received the Flying Guardian badge. I believe that's the one where you need 250 points from defensive targets, which is effectively 280 because you can't get 250 with them being worth 40 points apiece. So if you do the math, that's 7 defensive targets. So same advice applies as the 5 enemy aircraft while defending sectors in a single battle. You just gotta get 2 more. Then participate in capturing 10 sectors in any number of battles. That should take you 2 or 3 battles normally in any plane of your choice. Followed by earn 120,000 personal points in any number of battles. Once again, you just go for the plane that you tend to score more personal points for, but you can also just fly whatever your heart desires, and eventually you'll get there. It just depends whether you want to minimize the amount of matches you play, or if you have all the time in the world to put into it, then you don't have to maximize efficiency so much. So you decide what situation you're in, but then we're getting towards the end. There's 30 missions total. What, mission 24, destroy 5 aerial targets with a gunner in a single battle. To me, that's the most difficult mission of the whole lot. That's a little bit excessive at 5. I don't know if Wargaming has tried to achieve that themselves, but in any case, it's not impossible. It just might take you a lot of attempts to finish it. So as far as what to fly for that, you want ideally the kind of plane that has a 360 rotating turret, so a Beaufighter, Blenheim F, Beaufighter 5, all those are good. So you try to spot targets, especially your light fighter ADAs are good candidates for that. Try to get them down to just a few hit points left and then stop firing with the forward firing weapons and just finish them with the turret. Since your turret rotates 360 degrees, then it should be pretty easy to get the target you were just shooting with your forward firing weapons within your turret range. If you haven't done so already, what helps a lot is being able to control the plane pitch up and pitch down while you're in turret view. So that requires assigning pitch up and pitch down to keys on your keyboard. I use Z and X for that. You can use obviously whatever keys work best for you, but I believe by default there's no keys assigned to those functions, so you would have to go back to the normal view from the turret view to be able to pitch up or down if you dealing with a plane that either climbs up or dives down past your turret range. So you'll definitely want to assign those keys. Receive the Ace Award. Well, so the Ace Award, you can die, and the count will still work. You just need 20 kills, and you can die any number of times. But it helps not to die because obviously you spend time respawning and then getting back to the front line. It can take time away from killing. So don't worry about the quality of targets for that one. Just be opportunistic, and you gotta get the last hit on low health targets, and try to stay out of trouble as much as possible. But in order to get a lot of kills, you're gonna have to take some risks and go where the action is, right? So just keep that in mind. Received the Rocketeer honorary rank. So ideally, you'd have a BVP 210 or a F-94D or anything that has air-to-air rockets to try that in. But I'm aware that not everybody has unlocked those planes yet. So if you don't, well, then what choice do you have but to line up in something like an IL-10 or anything that has rockets, really? That's air-to-ground rockets, and your best target is going to be a low health GA, because you hit a GA with a rocket while it's full health, it might not die, and you have to take the last hit point away with the rocket damage for it to count. So that can be tricky. My advice, especially if you're trying to hit with air-to-ground rockets, is to spread them a tiny bit, millimeters to the side, up and down. Don't shoot straight at the target. If you shoot exactly straight, usually the rockets will go around the target and miss it. So you want it just tiny little bit to the side or up and down. Earn 3,500 capture points in any number of battles. So this replicates a number of, I think, 2 other missions we've already talked about. I won't go too deep into that one. Participate in capturing 20 sectors in any number of battles. Same idea. We've had that exact one earlier on, I believe. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We've had 10 and 25 for sure. Getting to the end here with the penultimate mission, mission 29. Earn 5,000 personal points for destroying ground targets in a single battle. Well, you just do your best in a GA or bomber, and that should complete itself, if not in one game, 2 or 3 at most, for most people. If you have absolutely no experience playing bombers or GAs, then you might struggle a little bit with that one, but so it might help to get an Elbish or AR2 to do that in if it's not something you're equipped to do right out the bat. Just keep in mind, the missions start counting at tier 4, so no Blenheim 4 for that mission. Then receive the Marseille Award. So 17 kills without dying. 17 kills in a single sortie, in other words. And you have to win the match. So the Marseille is not really so much about your choice of plane, but much more about your game situation, game awareness, all that. So a couple things to be aware of when you're first into a sector, especially the first sector you get to. If you're one of those players like me who rushes into the sector, gets there first, well, expect any sector that's defended by heavy fighters, ADAs that is, they'll try to ram you. So just be aware and dodge early enough to make sure they don't succeed. Aside from that, just keep an eye on the minimap and try to avoid clusters of enemies. If you know which icons are the the human enemy players, and then try to avoid them. They're more likely to kill you than bot enemies. Just try to pick on the easiest targets, low-hanging fruits, that sort of thing. It's for sure going to help to try to get into bot games by figuring out which tier currently has the fewest humans lined up in. But that's sometimes a little bit tricky. For sure the high tiers late at night, as I've said previously. But the problem with bot games is sometimes you get such a washout, like a curb stomping, as we say, that you don't really get a chance to get 17 kills. So that's something to keep in mind. This one might require a few tries and just, keep trying until eventually you get it. It's going to require a bit of perseverance. Hopefully it doesn't take you more than like 5 to 10 matches or so. Hopefully even fewer than that. But yeah, it's a bit of a random one. It's not a whole lot you can do if you run into an enemy and they're behind you and they kill you. Like, you can die very early on and still hope to get a Marseille, but if you get killed mid-match, it's pretty much over. So keep that in mind. I haven't really reviewed the rewards. I'd say they're kind of a little weak, honestly. There's 4 steel supply crates. That's basically your best hope of getting something decent. Not a single experimental part, which is very disappointing. Like, you could do this kind of grindy set of missions. We've definitely seen worse, but for not much reward aside from the plane. None of this is anything to write home about, really. So could do a little better then, frankly. But we got something for free. It's nothing to write home about, but maybe it's a little bit entitled to complain. I don't know. But we've seen better. We've also seen worse. So there's that. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you have any questions I didn't answer, leave them in a comment below. I'll do my best to answer in a timely manner. I'll see you in the next video, hopefully not 2 months from now.